A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you are doing good. Today is 5th November, Monday today. Many articles to go through, but before that, big Diwali sale is on. Flat 60% off available on our pen drive and tablet courses. To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. Mind you, last date is 10th November. Make the most out of it. Today, 5 articles to go. Total 7 articles in today's The Hindu editorial as well as op-ed page. This one and this one, both these articles are not good for your examination. When I say good, I mean to say they are not important for your examination, but other articles are. So let's start our discussion with eyes wide shut. Right? It's not eyes wide open. It's eyes wide shut, and it's about Assam, the situation that is going on in Assam. It's very sad to find that on 1st November 2018, a couple of days ago, 5 Bengali men were gunned down in Assam near Tinsukia, and this is a clear indication of this fault lines or this cracks or this valley that we find between two communities, which is not healthy for any democratic society. As a matter of fact, it's not healthy for any society, right, whether it is democratic or not, because all of us are unique. All of us are having our own ways of looking at life. We all have our own ways of living. We speak different language, we come from various different religious backgrounds, we come from various different educational, economical, social background, but at the end of the day we are all one, right? Above everything, the first thing that comes is humanity. Then you can divide various different people based on their country, right? So these two things are more than enough. The more you go down, the more diversity is not bad, right? There's nothing wrong with diversity. In fact, diversity is beautiful. It's like when you enter a garden and when you see, if you are traveling somewhere and if you see fields full of greenery, right? So for a couple of minutes you will feel very good, but after that it will look all same and all boring, right? This is a message of nature as well, that if you have just one color all across the board, then that's going to look very boring. So if we have one people, one community, no sort of diversity, then it's going to be very boring. So it's better that we have this diversity, and we have learned so much from this diversity. So many items that we eat, the culture of our country is rich because of this openness that we used to have for a very long period of time. If we go through our history, then we find that we have welcomed all new ideas, all new ways of living and everything. But now things are a bit different, right? A bit different. So this murder, or this you can say this mass murder of 5 Bengali men in Assam, is a clear symptom of fault lines between communities in Assam. Now, we have talked about National Register of Citizens many a times, so I'm not going into small tiny details of this thing, but I'll give you a big picture of this thing. It's about making sure that all those people who are living in Assam are genuinely citizens of our country, because Assam is located in such a place where it is sharing its border with Bangladesh. Now, Bangladesh is a country with which we have the longest land boundary. If we have with any country, then that is Bangladesh. If you open your map or atlas book, then it may not look like that. It's called optical illusion. But if you observe, then we have this sort of zigzag boundary. So that's one of the reasons why we have the longest boundary with Bangladesh. Now, if you go back in the history, then we know this partition took place, and then later on, East Pakistan, so many people, they were tortured and things like that. So they started migrating to various different parts of our country, and Assam was an easy way out from Bangladesh. Then in 1971, they had this war, right? East Pakistan, West Pakistan, and then finally we got this new country called Bangladesh. We took part in this war as well, directly, indirectly. So at that point of time as well, people were leaving their hometown, their home country, for a peaceful place, and the best option for them at that point of time, the easiest option, I would say, was, of course, the best one as well, was Assam. So there are so many Bengali people living over there now. Not every one of them are illegal, but yes, we will find some of them, they have just entered couple of years ago and things like that. So they need to be sent back once everything is sorted out. Once we know that they are genuinely illegal migrants, then we need to get rid of them, right? Because no country can, accepting idea is totally different thing. But now we have limited resources, right? Now we have clear defined borders and things like that. So we have limited resources, so we cannot just keep our borders open for people coming from various different parts of the country. They have to go through this visa thing, right? Once they have got proper visa, then yes, they can stay here. But illegal, migration is something that no country will accept. Now, politics ensuing over this has left the state polarized. We find this thing is quite natural that once you have this sort of fault lines, then it becomes nearly impossible. It will take huge amount of energy, time, and money and other sort of investment, and it will take ages for us as well to cement ties between any two communities if they have any sort of fault lines between them. So that's going to be a bit unhealthy for the growth and development of the state of Assam. And the Supreme Court is monitoring this whole NRC exercise, and it has signaled an accommodative stance. It has accepted this thing that 5 more documents will be accepted. If all those people, there are some 40 lakh people who didn't make it to this final draft of NRC. So Supreme Court is listening to them, and Supreme Court has said that if you can provide any of the 5 document, then we can take your case, means you can be accepted as citizen. So that's going on at present. So it's very important that political parties, they should also take an accommodative stance rather than making the most out of this fault lines, rather than trying to form groups or trying to win people just in for the sake of number is not going to be healthy. For long term, it's better that all political parties as well as civil society should understand the situation, and they should realize this thing, that for the best thing for their state is peaceful solution rather than this sort of violence. Moving on to another item, it's about mob rule. It's about Pakistan, and on Saturday we talked about this thing, so I'm not going into background details of this Asia Bibi's case. Back in 2009, she was arrested for blasphemy. 2010, she was awarded with death penalty. Now you have a state in Pakistan, Punjab, right? They have a state in Pakistan as well. Its name is Punjab, and Punjab is very prosperous as well as very powerful in terms of politics, in terms of population. So Punjab state of Pakistan is very influential as well as a very powerful state, and governor as well as chief minister of this Punjabi Pakistan is or Pakistani Punjab, not Punjabi Pakistan. Pakistani Punjab is the governor and chief minister is considered a very powerful person, right? They are very powerful individuals over there. So Salman Taseer was governor of Punjab back in 2011, and he was shot dead because he appealed. He was a secular person, and he was asking for, or he was basically betting for release of Asia Bibi, and he was shot dead by his personal bodyguard. Then you have this Shahbaz Bhatti, minister of minorities, who called for change in law, and he too was killed back in 2011. Now this indicates that in Pakistan you have few people out there, right, and they are basically brainwashed, or they are trying to brainwash other people as well in the name of religions and identity that is very easy to exploit. They are using this identity thing, and they are using this psychology or human behavior, and they are basically destroying this country called Pakistan. Now Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, used to sound a bit logical, and when he was campaigning, he was talking about so many big things, but now it's getting more and more clear that it was all barking, and at present we can see no biting from him. He has accepted this demand of Khadim Hussain Rizvi. Khadim Hussain Rizvi is leader of this Tariq Labaik. It's a it's a sort of radical, or you can say a bit aggressive party, and what they are asking for, and this is something that government has accepted as well, that government will not oppose review petition if it is filed by Tariq-e-Labayak, and government will prevent Miss Bibi to leave Pakistan. So this is clearly not very logical, not very rational, as well as not very legal of not very constitutional of this government of Pakistan, because if Supreme Court of your country is saying that the particular person in question, that person is free to go, that person has nothing done against any religion, and that person has done nothing that we can call blasphemy, then government of Pakistan is not in the same on the same page, and it's not in the same line. So this indicates that it's a very confusing as well as very sad situation of Pakistan, and government has done her when I say, I'm talking about Asia Bibi, her a disservice, and has supported extremist sections. And one time you accept their demand, the second time you accept, now it's going to be a routine habit of this particular groups in that country. Now we will talk about this the ghosts of laws past. A very interesting article again, right? I'm sure you might have heard about this thing, Shreya Singhal versus Union of India 2015. This case was about Section 66A of Information Technology Act. Now, before I throw some light on this thing, I would like to discuss this 2000 Act, right? This Act, IT Act of 2000. So it's very, I would say, very old, because the way things have changed, after this introduction of internet in our country, 2000 was early days of internet in our country. Then the first decade we saw this rise of cyber cafe, and in this decade, right, starting one was with this normal internet, and then then we saw 2G and 3G, and at present we are in 4G, and by 2020 we are going to get 5G. And in the last couple of years things have changed, right, quite drastically. Smartphones are quite visible everywhere, right? We have variety of smartphones as well, WhatsApp and so many things, right? Facebook is it's at its peak in our country. YouTube and other things are at its peak in our country. So it's one of the most modern time of our nation at present, right? As we are speaking now, this is the most latest and modern time so far, and not only for our country but for the whole world as well. It's the latest. If we know how to live, then this is the right time to live. That's where we are. So it's a good thing, right? We are lucky enough to be here at present. Now, I'll give you one example. Just imagine if you have Ferrari, right? Of course, a supercar, and quite famous one as well, and very easy to use in example too. So if you have, just imagine a red Ferrari that can hit 200 miles per hour, and if rules and regulation in your city are designed keeping in mind horse cart, so you can imagine you are never going to you'll never enjoy your Ferrari, even if you have that potential to hit 200 miles per hour. Then as well you are going to be driving just like a horse cart, and rules and regulations and speed limit and other things. So here something similar is going on with our IT Act as well, right? When we say IT Act, then this information technology, or this this internet, right? When I say IT, I'm talking about internet. There are other things as well, but here we are talking about internet, using internet as an example. So we say that because of internet there are so many people, earlier on they were not having their voice, but now they have this smartphone and Facebook and social media and other things. Now every one of us is a journalist in a way. We can raise our voice, we can file complaints, we can have a chat with Prime Minister. Can you believe this thing? We can directly post our message to Prime Minister. So it's definitely, truly a very modern era in which we are living, very democratic as well, if you look at it from this way. But now if we want to achieve, to hit our endeavors as a nation, as a society, we want to develop, isn't it? We want to get rid of this the shackles that we find in various different pockets of our country. For that, you have to have latest rules and regulations, and that's what we find as well in our parliament many times with the help of courts. And here we have this Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case of 2015, in which this controversial or outdated Section 66A of the Information Technology Act 2000 was declared unconstitutional by Supreme Court of our country. So what we expect, that once a particular section is declared unconstitutional, it will be deleted from our rule book, and instead of that we'll have some new rules, or it could be if a rule like Section 66A that was misused by authorities. They used to jail people. If you write something on Facebook or social networking site, and if it is something against government, then sedition, or you can say that they can term you, they can imprison you by declaring that you are doing things that are against your nation. So that's clearly, you can say, violation of fundamental rights, particularly freedom of expression. If you are saying something that is not offensive, something that is your opinion, right, and if you are not doing it for any negative purpose, if it's not for promoting violence and things like that, then there is no harm in it. It is all part of your freedom of expression. But this was taken away by this Section 66A. So it was deleted. So I believe now we have good background information about importance of internet and why we need up-to-date rules and regulations. Now the thing is, and this is very interesting, and this is the reason why this article is interesting as well. Even after all this, there are few cases where police have jailed people using Section 66A, and I'm talking about after 2015, in 2016, in 2017, in 2018. There are police personnel out there, they are using Section 66A and they are jailing people. So this indicates that there is a big vacuum somewhere, right, of when it comes to communication channels. We have a lack of proper, or we don't have this proper communication channel. It's not a two-way, it's not even one-way as well. Right, Section 303 of Indian Penal Code was struck down by Supreme Court in 1983, and it was in 2012 when High Court of Rajasthan intervened to save a person from being hanged for being convicted under Section 303. So this is not the first time we are finding this thing. This is there have been in history, we have found this sort of things from various different parts of our country. So this is very sad, and it indicates a systematic failure. It indicates a systematic failure of communication channels, right? And notifications are good ways of sharing information, but it all depends, because we don't have any proper law. Can you believe this thing? We don't have any official method for sharing information about such decisions. We don't have in our legal system. So it all depends on, if you have some proactive officer or a person working at a hierarchy, then that person, if that person is proactive, then he or she will share information with subordinates. Or else, if you don't have this sort of person, then because you don't have any rule or regulation that is enforcing you, that is making this part of your duty to inform other subordinates, then because we don't have this sort of thing, we don't find this sort of information sharing as well. And because of this thing, we find this violation of rules, or you can say lack of awareness in all those people who are enforcing rules on us. So this is again, it's a very bleak situation. Failing to lead by example. Very interesting article written by a person who was director of NCERT, former director of NCERT, and he is talking about education and why Kerala has failed to lead us by example. Now, when we talk about Kerala and education, you know that it's number one in our country. It is considered as model of progress as well, because Kerala is, in terms of education penetration, it's somewhere around 95 plus. Health as well is quite, health facilities are quite deep in various different pockets of Kerala. So as far as our country is concerned, Kerala is, in terms of particularly health and education, it's a model state, or it's a lighthouse for various different states of our country. Kerala is not just about health and education, right? In terms of society as well, we have seen various different social reformers, right, taking a lead in the social movements in our society of Kerala, as well as in, of course, it is part of India. So there are so many social movements, they took birth in Kerala, and some of them were replicated in various different parts of our country as well. So Kerala has a history of social movements, to let go the grip of custom and rituals, and to think new and to think out of box and other things. Now, the problem is, it's penetration of education is not a guarantee of social creativity or openness. And we have this example of Kerala where we know that education penetration is quite good. Right to education is best implemented if in any state, then number one is Kerala. But we find that it all depends on what is taught and how things are taught to you in your classroom, may it be of a school, or may it be at your home or colleges or universities. I'll give you one example. I'm going through a book, right, in which I found this, difference between an educator and a guru. I'm not talking about a religious guru here, remember. I'm talking about, when I say guru here, guru is a word that is nowadays used in various different foreign countries as well. They say management guru and IT guru, this guru, that guru, etc. So here when you say guru, you are talking about a master, right? A master. And when we say guru, guru is a person who is who claims that that person has reached the very highest peak, Everest of that particular field. So no counter questions, no any sort of theory or any other views, different views are not accepted by guru. Again, I'm not talking about religious guru here. You have to understand this thing here. We are talking about types of teachers or types of institutions or types of educators here. And when we say educator, we are talking about a person who is ready to accept criticism, a person who is ready to, if you are a student and if you are coming out with a suggestion, or if you are coming out with a view that is not that is a bit different or opposite to that of your teacher, then that as well is accepted. So that's what we find in an educator. What we need here, what we have found in this part of our country called Kerala, right, it was all about this guruism, and this is one of the main reason why, because of, even after having this much of education penetration, we find people are opting for violence when it comes to Sabrimala temple, rather than sensible people having a chat with each other and discussing things about the issue that they are facing. What we are finding is violence. So based on this thing, right, the writer is writing this article saying that this Kerala, the state of Kerala, has failed to lead the country by example, that education is no guarantee. This has been proved by Kerala, that education is not a guarantee. Expansion or penetration of education is not a guarantee. Right? Yes, of course, your curriculum, your way of teaching, your openness, all these things, they matter a lot, rather than just reading and writing skills. Moving on to another item. I hope this thing is clear to you. Very interesting article. Now this one is about this within the ambit of humanity. It's about a book. So it's taking us back to this era of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and I'm going to be very quick here. So when you go through this article, what you'll find is you'll find a small history. You'll find what took place during this reign of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji and things like that, right? So April 2003, he was asked this question that are you going to sort out everything within the ambit of constitution? And his reply was no, it's going to be within the ambit of humanity. So insaniyat ke daire mein, right? That's what he said. And this was a very, you can say, this is in fact a very famous statement. This statement was taken very positively by Pakistan as well. Because when we talk about constitution, then we are talking about some rules that we have already. Then you have Pakistan's constitution, and then you have people from Kashmir. They are demanding something. They have their own constitution as well, of course, in Kashmir, isn't it? So it's going to be a bit, you can say, turbulent when we are trying to have a chat or trying to start a chat based on constitution. But when we have this big picture of humanity, then things become a bit easy, at least to start things or discuss things. So that's what Atal Bihari Vajpayee said in 2003, and after that we saw this, Pakistani Prime Minister Mir Zafarullah Khan Jamali. He called Vajpayee to discuss reopening ties. Raw Chief visited Pakistan to make sure that this pre-visit ground is prepared. In 2004, SAARC nations, during this SAARC meeting, it was decided back in 2004 that they are going to get rid of this. They are going to choke terrorism in SAARC region. And at that point of time, at present we have 8 members. At that point of time, they used to have, the SAARC used to have 7 members. So can you give me the name of the last country to join SAARC, right? Give me the name of the last country to join this SAARC group, and post your answers in the comment section of this video. Now, it was also decided during this SAARC meeting that they are going to implement the South Asian Free Trade Agreement by 2006. Back in 2003, Brajesh Mishra, he was India's NSA and Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, and Pakistan's Special Secretary Tariq Aziz. Both of this Mishra and Aziz, they used to have this meetings with each other. Back channel talks took place between them. Things were looking all right. Kashmir, Musharraf was a bit soft. He said that he's going to leave this United Nations resolutions plebiscite, or this this voting thing on side. As far as we can have a chat, we can weed out all those unacceptable things that are creating problems for India, Pakistan and Kashmiris, and then we can have a smooth chat. So it was a bit cordial, it was a bit friendly from both the sides, and that's what this article is trying to say, because it is based on, it's a small, you can say, portion from a book, right? So I have explained all those things that I found important for you guys as far as your examination, your general awareness is concerned, so based on these 2 things, keeping in mind these 2 things, I have explained things to you. If you want, you can of course go through that full article, or a book as well, if you are a book reader, if you like reading new books. Now, important news items or latest news. Before we move ahead, let me clarify this thing, that I'm just going to give you gist of news items, right? I'm not going to explain news items just like editorials and articles, because I want you guys to stand. You guys need to fly with your own wings. I can train you how to fly, how to swim, how to run, but after that you have to do your running by yourself, right? Spoon feeding is something that I am totally against it, right? Because spoon feeding is like giving you sugar every day. One day you'll find that you are diabetic, right? At present it may look very sweet, but future will be bleak. So we have to stand on our own feet, and that's what this whole game is all about, isn't it? So news items, first one is about China and Pakistan. You'll find it on the first page. Quest for peace. Both these nations had Pakistan's prime minister is in Pakistan's prime minister is in China. So they talked about nuclear suppliers group. They talked about solving this outstanding issues with India and things like that. Maneka Gandhiji has slammed this ghastly murder of Tigress Avni. Sirisena has reconvened the parliament of Sri Lanka. Air quality has improved a little bit. E-waste management is a big problem for Kerala's government as well as people. Greater flamingos at Hope Island after 25 years. You find this Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary in Andhra Pradesh, where you find this Hope Island. And water ATMs. Yesterday we were talking about water, and see the situation here. Water ATMs may help in bridging safe water gap. That's not going to help us. Respecting water, respecting natural resources is going to help us. Once we respect and start looking after them, then we don't have to rely on this sort of ATMs. Defaulters list. CIC issues notice to RBI chief, and post policy health conditions must be covered has been suggested by a panel to a report that is submitted by this panel to IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. Facile, schism, ensue, firebrand, secede and tenacious. These are your vocabs. You have to go through it. You have to find their answers, read their meanings and post it in the comment section. A vice president is on a 3-nation visit to African continent. Can you give me the name of these 3 nations and their capital? And this is my FB page and Twitter handle from where you can download today's PDF file. Make sure that you share it with other students. If you have learned something from today's discussion, don't forget to hit the like button. God bless you all. Jai Hind.